Good morning. My name is Jess Jonas. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm a member at the Unitarian Universalist First Parish Church in Sherborn, Mass. You are beloved and you are welcome here. Whether tears have fallen from your eyes this past week or gleeful laughter has spilled out of your smiling mouth, you are beloved and you are welcome here. Whether you are feeling brave or brokenhearted, defiant or defeated, fearsome or fearful, you are beloved and you are welcome here. Whether you have untold stories buried deep inside or stories that have been forced beyond the edges of comfort, you are beloved and you are welcome here. Whatever is on your heart, however it is with your soul in this moment, you are beloved and you are welcome here. In this space of welcome and acceptance, commitment and recommitment, of covenant and connection, let us worship together.
Morning, everybody. I'm Reverend Nathan, one of your ministers, who's having internet trouble at home. So I'm going to move locations in a second after the announcement to find a better spot for Wi-Fi in my house. Um, Welcome to Zoom Church. Welcome to snow days, even though the forecast wasn't as significant as they said. Just a few announcements today. We'd like to welcome newcomers. And if you're new, we have our new membership and youth coordinator, Anastasia Krantz, who's on Zoom with us this morning. And she will put her email address in the chat so you can reach out to her to be welcomed officially, and you'll hear from her in a moment. Just a few gentle reminders for Zoom stuff. Please keep yourself muted. If for some reason we didn't remember how to do that for you. And use the chat function for our prayers later on. Anastasia, do you want to say good morning?
Good morning, everyone. I'm so happy to be with you this morning. It's nice to meet you either again from last Sunday or for the first time today. And I hope everyone can say hello to each other in the chat as well. And good morning.
Open my heart, 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 open my heart.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Reverend Joe. I'm one of your ministers, and I'm up here on your Zoom screen with Kirsten to share in our opening words. I invite you, if you'd like, to respond on mute with the all lines, or you can just soak it in. These are words from Rabbi Rami Shapiro.
Everything in this world has its moment, a season of ripening and falling away.
Moments of birthing and moments of dying, moments of planting and moments of reaping.
Moments of healing and moments of hurting, moments of demolition and moments of building.
Moments of weeping and moments of laughing, moments of mourning and moments of dancing.
Moments of scattering stones and moments gathering stones together, moments of embracing and moments of distance.
Moments of seeking and moments of losing, moments of clinging and moments of releasing.
Moments of tearing and moments of mending, moments of silence and moments of talking.
Moments of loving and moments of hating, moments of fighting and moments of making peace. So may it be for us and for our world, with these words adapted from Ecclesiastes. Invite us as you'd like to join in singing in our first hymn, which Sarah will screen share. There's a river flowing in my soul.
There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my soul, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my heart. There's a river flowing in my heart, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my heart. There's a river flowing in my mind. There's a river flowing in my mind, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my mind. There's a river flowing in my soul.
Invite us now, if you have a candle or a chalice at home that you'd like to light, you're welcome to join in lighting a candle or electronic candle. If not, you're welcome to just kind of slow down a little bit, take a fuller breath wherever you are, and join in this moment together. We'll say the covenant of our congregation, which will be printed in the chat in just a moment as Sarah multitasks. You're here for all of our staffers doing 12 things at once to create this beautiful presence for us this morning. I can actually paste it into the chat here. Don't worry about it. Oop. There we go. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth in love, and to help one another. Well, good morning again. My name is Reverend Joe. I'm the Minister for Lifespan Learning, and I'm here with service dog Sully, who's off screen but keeps handing me toys to throw. So you'll just see that in the background as we go. If there are any kids or youth who can hear the sound of my voice who would like to come closer to the screen, not too close, but close enough to be able to participate in our Wonderbox time, we'll be doing that right now. Every week when we're in person, we put something in this beautiful wooden box that relates to the theme of the service for the day. Well, I don't have a big wooden box at home, but I do have this little box here. Oops, you can hear jangles. That might tell you something about what's in there. That my students at Wellesley College made for me several years ago for Galentine's Day. And it was delightful to take what was usually in it is a bunch of notes that I hadn't looked at in years. So I got to look at that this morning as I put things in the Wonder Box. Well, today's service is based on a line that Reverend Nathan says before his sermons. He says, "Here is our world. Beautiful and terrible things will happen." And I love that idea that, we know that our world is full of amazing things that fill our hearts and things that are really hard. And here it is. We're here together in them. Well, I put some things in this Wonder Box that I think help me and maybe help us notice those things. So I wish I could get Sully to open this for me. It's magnetically closed though, so that's a little tough. So I'm going to open our Wonder Box and take out the first item, which is a candle in this little mason jar holder that a different group of students made several years ago. Well, the reason I'm putting a lit candle in here today is something that inspired me that one of my colleagues, one of my friends did. Her name is Reverend Tandy, and she and her wife, Reverend Sue, in their home, they love using rituals in their home to give them some rhythm to their life, to help them notice what's going on in the world. And I wonder, I might even take us off mute here. Let me see if I can do that while maybe we'll just put it in the chat. If you can put in the chat, grown-ups or kids, what is a ritual? Can you tell me what a ritual is? It's a word you might hear used a lot at church. We were talking about this last week in our coming of age group, and I wanted to invite us of all ages. I love the definition that a ritual is something hands-on that we do to help us pay attention. Yeah, that's exactly what Molly put in there. A special thing that helps us pay attention, a practice or habit that means something special. Yeah, it may have words attached to it. It might not. It may be very, very old, and it may be something that we create in the moment. Liz says something to count on. Oh, I like that. Sometimes it's a practice you do every day. Sometimes it's for special occasions. Abby says it helps you move from one space to another. Karina says it can be a unique expression in a family. I love these. Well, the ritual that Tandy and Sue have started doing is that every morning they come together as a family, and one of them names somebody that they admire for doing something that sides with love in the world. They are taking courageous action to bring more love into the world and to resist injustice. I love that. Eliza Andrews says something that happens a lot. Yeah, so they do this every morning now. And they light a candle for that person or people that they might know or they might have seen in the news who are doing something to side with love. And they say a little prayer for that person, for their well-being and for their happiness and their health. So I was thinking about this morning, just who came to mind first for me, who is an ordinary person doing something to side with love. And there's actually a lot of people. And right now in the news, there is so much going on that troubles my heart, that makes me feel fearful or angry and calls me to action. And I don't always see reminders of the people who are out there doing good in the world. So the people I thought of were two people who are internet people, but they're real people, John and Hank Green. Some of you might know them as authors or podcasters, or they're on YouTube and TikTok and Instagram and all the things they do, Crash Course. They're two regular, ordinary humans who are trying to do good in the world. And the reason they came to mind is that this coming weekend is their annual Project for Awesome. I look forward to this all year round. It is 48 hours of live streaming, people on the internet trying to raise money to make more good in the world. There's goofy things, there's poignant things, there's people from all over the world suggesting charities and nonprofits that they care about. And they raise thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars just by being together for 48 hours, even in the middle of the night, being goofy and being caring together. And people are just so lovely in the chat and on Discord servers and just wanting to create more good in the world. And what I love about that is, as we've been talking about the last few weeks, they use whatever platform they have to create more good. So with this candle, I'm saying a little prayer for them, for there to be more good in the world, for us to come together to build more awesome. Now, I have a few other things in this box. We won't go through all of them, but when our coming of age students, our middle schoolers, got together last week, we invited them to take some rocks, just some pretty special rocks, some pieces of paper and a pen, and a vessel of water, and some tea light candles, those little round ones. And think about, with those items, oh, thank you, Liz, for putting Project for Awesome in there. Great. I was going to put a link to the chat afterwards. If you want to spend some time with me on the internet next weekend, I'll be there along with thousands and thousands of others. And the invitation for our coming of age students was to design a ritual to help express something that they needed to let out in the world, whether it is grief and anger. And they wrote the things that they were taking that made them feel angry. They crumpled them up and they threw it on the ground to let go of that anger. Or the hopes that they want to lift up, or the people that they were remembering. Some of them wrote on the metal side of those tea lights the names of somebody they were remembering or hope that they were lifting up. And they put it in the water and they lit it on fire, and the tea light floated in the water. Or they took the thing that they wanted to let go of and they dropped it in water with a stone. And the invitation to you is, what is it that you need something to ritualize? What do you need to take a moment to notice, to let go of, to lift up, to give thanks for? You can use any item that you find in your home. It could be a piece of paper. It could be a piece of cloth. It could be a song that you sing with your family. And who do you want to give thanks for? What are the moments that you want to lift up that might have gotten lost in the flow of every day? What are the angry feelings and the things you're feeling afraid about that you want to throw on the ground or cry out to the sky or commit to taking an action about? It could be a very, very old ritual or something you create right now. But I just want you to know that those tools, those spiritual technologies are there for you. And whatever you create today is just as sacred as something that's been around for 3,000 years. So I give thanks for all of those who are creating more awesome in the world, which I know is also all of you. So we won't have faith formation classes this morning. Your class is outside in the snow. It's inside under your cozy blanket, over your hot chocolate, and with your families and loved ones. I hope you go out and do some good in the world. Thanks, y'all. And with
Thanks,
that,
Joe.
yeah, I'm going to introduce Brian, who I'm going to turn it over to, who's going to give us a testimony. I'll share his story about what the congregation means to him. Let me replace the spotlight. Here you go,
And
Brian.
before Brian,
Oh, and by that I mean Nathan. Hang on.
that's right. Before Brian weighs in, so we have coming up here in February and March our annual stewardship season, and stewardship is just it's one word and actually means way in which we share and become caretakers of places that are important to us. And one of the places that is important to me, and I know for many of you, all of you, it's our community. And so one of the ways that we express that care is sharing our financial resources that we're able to offer. And, every week, as you know, we give our offering away, 100% of it, to an outside organization. This morning is going to be the ACLU that you'll hear Joe introduce in a little bit. And one reason we're able to do that is because of all of the contributions that everyone makes to the congregation. And so over the next, few weeks, you'll hear folks talk about why the place, our community, and the place that we're at is so important to us. And the question and the prompt is, how is UUAC a sanctuary for me? And this morning we hear from Brian. Brian, thanks a million.
Yes, thank you, Nathan. And hello, everyone. My name is Brian Orvek. My pronouns are he, him. I'm realizing many of you probably only have heard me sing and not actually speak before. I thought about singing this testimonial, but I won't put you all through that. So this is my family's third season here at UUAC. And while UUAC is not our first UU church experience, we are proud to call this place, this community, our home. And Reverend Nathan talked about sanctuary last week, and it got me thinking about what does that mean to me, and sort of within this context of a testimonial. So I am a consultant by trade, and besides being full of hot air, consultants operate from maximizing two main principles: value and simplicity. I often joke about how consulting is really just reinforcing fundamental concepts that we all learned in kindergarten, but have somehow managed to forget, like active listening or showing empathy. And so, what I so appreciate about what we have in this place is we practice our fundamentals over and over together as we are and as a community. So, to that aim, I came up with a simple list of how UUAC means sanctuary to me in hopes it brings you some value. Now, don't worry, this isn't one of those 3-hour top 10 lists like some people like to do. It will be brief. So, without further ado, number one, come for yourself, stay for the person next to you. I really identify with this one because the struggle against isolation is real. As humans, we're social creatures, and our best life experiences are shared ones. And our purpose is often discovered while selflessly helping and giving to others. Number two, you can't do everything, but you can do something, and that something is not nothing. And as a parent, this really hits home for me. We're so conditioned to be perfect that we need reminding it's okay. You are, in fact, doing enough and making a difference just by showing up. So, sending that out to everyone. And last, number three, you are, therefore, you have dignity. And one of my favorite joys as I get older is rediscovering the deeper meaning to concepts I've so long taken for granted. So, for example, I don't think I truly realized the depth and power behind dignity until I started coming to UUAC. And I can say personally, reconnecting with the meaning of dignity for me is unequivocally one of the most important elements of growth in my life these past few years. And I just have such immense gratitude for all of you, my community, and helping me realize that growth. So that's my sanctuary. Surprising thing is we all get this with minimal expectation, no gimmicks, no sales pitch, no variable or adjustable rates. And that's such a deal in this day and age. And that's all thanks to all of you who foster such a warm, inviting, accepting place and continually showing up even when it's hard. So for that, I say thank you.
Wow, Brian, so much love to you for that. Thank you for the words. And if we were in the sanctuary, you'd hear a round of applause. So yeah, everybody can just put up on the screen your hands together for that. Thank you, my friend. Even though you did slag my 3-hour sermons a little bit. Let us all be invited here into a space and a place for stillness here on a Sunday morning. A time for prayer and centering and connection with the forces that live between us and beneath us that so often go untouched during the busyness of the week. We begin with our prayer hymn this morning, which is Ubi Caritas. And this Sarah will share a screen.
Ubi caritas et amor, ubi caritas
I invite us now to look out into our empty sanctuary. This photo taken, oh my goodness, many years ago now, during the time of 2020, 2021. And back there in that doorway that's lit up, you can see where many of us come through on Sunday mornings. We carry with us our prayers for loved ones and our prayer for the world in which we live. And of course, our gratitudes that I say every week so often go unspoken and unrealized and untouched. Um, so we make room for that this morning. And we use our chat function to do this. I invite you to offer prayers for loved ones to begin. Let's just read them as we come through. I'll do my best to lift up a few. Liz offers love to Gail and all who love her. For Nat has thrown out his back. Oh, Nat, take it easy. Have Katie shovel this morning. For Kathy facing last few weeks in her current body. For prayers for our trans and gender full congregants and loved ones. Jennifer Bolton, who lost her dad yesterday. Joan Watts healing. Andrea done with chemo and surgery next week in our hearts. For all those at USAD, including Jer, a friend Don who suffered a brain bleed and his caregiver, John's providing love. Excuse me, a friend Don. For all those in Palestine. I invite now, as we hold those loved ones, to also name our prayers for the world, which is so complicated and difficult these days. I invite prayers for all those employees in government work and all those in other fields who are experiencing fear in regards to funding, all the healthcare workers and those who receive grants from NIH, so many other places, everybody. And as those prayers for the world in which we're living in, let's also put in our gratitudes, please. It's good to mix in our gratitudes in the middle of all the other places that our world is hurting, and our prayers for those. For church, for my covenant group sisters, grateful for home and safety, spending time with babies and snow. For music, for health and creativity, for good friends close and far. Katie's grateful she can still shovel. Amen, Katie. For backyard sanctuaries and Willow, our puppy. For brownies made. Team Andress, I'll be coming over later. Keep them coming, everybody. Let me just offer a few words. Dear God of our many names and no names, our prayers this morning are filling up our screens between shovelfuls of snow and ice, and so much more expected this week here in New England. Help us to notice the helpers, as many of our prayers noted here. Like candles that Reverend Joe talked about, to find the places where the awesome is. Help us hold the duality of a broken world and a beautiful world. Help us not have to choose between them. Help us find space and place for all the public things going on, the headlines, and all the overwhelm that they bring, but also the little things, the feelings of joy or feelings of meh that we may be having in our own life. Hold it all. And let us be held here in a moment of stillness together. Just close your eyes and just be here now, just for a moment. Amen.
Every week, we collect an offering, as Nathan mentioned, and we give it all away in support of an organization that lives out our values of love, service, justice, and peace. And as Nathan said, we're only able to give away all of our offering because y'all pledge and keep supporting this congregation, which is just amazing. This week, we will be collecting an offering for the American Civil Liberties Union, the ACLU. When a roomful of civil liberties activists formed the ACLU in 1920, At that time, the Supreme Court had yet to uphold a single free speech claim. Activists languished in jail for distributing anti-war literature. State-sanctioned violence against Black citizens was routine. Women had won the right to vote only in August of that year, and constitutional rights for LGBTQ people were nowhere on the horizon. The ACLU was founded to ensure the promise of the Bill of Rights and to expand its reach to people who were historically denied its protections. In their first year alone in 1920, they fought the harassment and deportation of immigrants whose activism put them at odds with the authorities 105 years ago. The ACLU has been at the center of just nearly every major civil liberties battle in the US for those 105 years. With immigrant rights, trans justice, reproductive freedom, and more at risk, they are in courts and communities across the country to protect all of our rights. And you can imagine right now, they are fighting for our rights in so many different directions. In these first few weeks of the new administration, the ACLU has already filed lawsuits over Trump's policies that would end birthright citizenship, asylum at the border, and gender-affirming medical treatments for transgender youth. And I'll say that one of the highlights and lowlights of my last week was on a group chain text thread that I'm on with friends who are local ministers. In one day, we found out that a number of our congregants were no longer able to get their gender-affirming medical care, especially the children. And by the end of the day, one of the families in our congregation had already been contacted by the ACLU to be a part of a lawsuit protecting access to care and protesting the executive order. I'm grateful for that. If you'd like to join in giving, you can support the ACLU by donating through a link in the chat, which I will paste right now, or by going to the UUAC website and clicking Give Now, and just make sure it is listed as the Beyond Our Walls offering. Friends, thank you for your generosity and for all of the ways you give.
Friends, here is our world. Beautiful and terrible things will happen. Let us keep our hearts tender and our words true and our eyes soft, because this is what you and I are about. We know there's no answer but to love each other. We bear witness here against destruction, and we gather here in community to practice being the people we say we want to be. Cannot do everything, but we can do something, and that something is not nothing. So as Leonard Cohen reminds us, ring the bells that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. There's a crack in everything, and you can say it into your screen. That is how the light gets in. So I did this during the pandemic. I would just page through all the folks here and say good morning to Dolly, to Andrea, and to Liz. Good to see you, and Gail, and Karin, and Jeff, and Megan, and Ben, and my mom. Hi, mom, and Gary, and Pete, Connie, Katie, Brad, Kathleen, Bev, the Sarleys. Got 4 pages here, guys. Great. Got Alan. Good morning, Alan. Polina, Rosalie, Marianne. And Jim Stetson. Good to see your name here, my friend. And Moshkan. It's good to see your faces. So just a few words this morning as we hold this hour between whatever came before, whether you already out shoveling, uh, or maybe you woke early and pulled back the curtains to see how much snow has fallen and realized the forecasters maybe have been a little bit exuberant. Then you decided to go back to sleep because why not? So before that, this morning, whatever comes next later today, the shoveling or the snow blowing in my case, the snow fort building, the snow people building, the appetizer creating before the sports ball on TV later. Even if you're not into sports ball, maybe still make the appetizer, please. Why not? Still make the appetizer. Because here's our world, and beautiful and terrible things will happen. And snow days, if you don't have to go anywhere or do very much, are among the beautiful things, I believe. And you can give me a thumbs up through the screen if you'd like to say amen. So, as Joe mentioned, this morning's meditation hangs on the opening lines I share with us every time I'm privileged to preach with you. Here is our world. Beautiful and terrible things will always happen. I'm going to do an occasional sermon series on all these words that I say in the beginning that I've been saying with you, I think, for over 10 years now. So those words, here's the world, beautiful and terrible things will happen. They come from a writer that I fell in love with in college. His name is Frederick Buechner, who only later did I learn in life was an ordained Presbyterian minister, same as one of my other heroes, Fred Rogers. There's something about this Presbyterian clergy, isn't there? Buechner was born the oldest child in a family that moved a lot across the country because his dad was always searching for work, and his dad felt like a failure because of that. Which is why Buechner described how home was not a place for him, but rather home was people. Home was people. But when he was only 10 years old, all of that changed when his dad died. He actually died from suicide. And his mom, after that happened, that terrible thing happened, his mom moved Frederick and his younger siblings all the way to Bermuda, where they remained for 7 years until they had to be evacuated because of World War II. About that time, Buechner wrote how he experienced the blessed relief that comes out of the dark and the unmentionable sadness of my dad's life and death into fragrance and greenness and light. Into fragrance and greenness and light. It's those words, the blessed relief that comes out of immense sadness into the fragrance and greenness of light. And this idea that here's the world and beautiful and terrible things will always happen. But I'm wrapping myself around in these days, like I do with a blanket in my house when the house takes forever to heat. trying to hold both the terrible things going on and the beautiful things too, without succumbing to easy explanations for things by saying that everything happens for a reason, or life is just chaos and we had best keep our expectations low and our heads down. Or as the bumper sticker we've all seen says, Jesus is coming, look busy. So as our world gets ever more complicated and complex, and the headlines and our algorithms seek to swing us in one way or another, here's what I'm noticing a lot about myself: how much I feel drawn to binary thinking and simple answers to help myself cope with the mess and the messiness. Anybody else feel that in themselves? And I think I just want some clarity, because clarity is comforting, because it means the answers are just handed down. So I was thinking about this yesterday, asking myself, is everything doomed? Just tell me. Is everything going to be okay? Tell me. Is it going to snow enough to move church to Zoom? Somebody tell me. Are we in a constitutional crisis? Somebody tell me. What am I supposed to do? Tell me. Who am I supposed to blame? Tell me. Who am I supposed to support without question? Tell me. It's not for nothing that authoritarianism gains power and appeal during times of great upheaval and uncertainty, right? And these years have had their share of both the upheaval and the uncertainty. So if you've noticed yourself at times feeling complacent, quiet, quenched for direction, and even curtailed, I just want to tell you that it's okay if you feel tired. Who would like a snow day for a whole year? All of which is heavier than I want for a snow day sermon. Let me just tell you that the world has got a lot of beauty in it, and it's got a lot of brokenness in it. And the question for me this morning is not, well, which is it? The question for me is, how am I going to hold both? So this week I got some practice. Again, I didn't want practice, but I got some anyway. On the brokenness side, I went to the Metro West Workers Center Zoom meeting on Wednesday. This is the immigrant support and advocacy agency in Milford that I emailed to those of you, like there's only like 65 of you at this point on the EUAC's We Are Sanctuary team. I emailed those of you about that organization last week. We've given to them before, and they've joined us before for worship. So the brokenness part, Diego, the executive director, had to ask everybody on the Zoom this week for volunteers to help parents fill out paperwork on Tuesday and Thursday of this week in the event that those parents got deported and they needed to decide where their kids would go and who their guardians would be. I'm thinking about, as a parent, I'm thinking about my kids having to fill out that paperwork right now. So that was broken. That was terrible. But on the same call in the chat, like this amazing thing happened. Like there was like 25 people on this call. Like almost every single person said, I got volunteers. I said, I got volunteers. I got 60 volunteers, maybe. And all these people said, I'll go, I'll go, I'll go, I'll go. And I saw Diego's eyes like moisten through the screen. That was beautiful to see him buoyed in that moment. And then this week, as the news came out so hot and heated, and I just want us to remember, everybody, that this is the intent of these moments is to overwhelm and to discourage everybody and just be like, well, I can't, so I'm just going to keep my head down. Like that's the intent, okay? But as I was watching the news and I saw the image of the workers taking down the letters of the USAID from the buildings in DC, they already had the guys up there taking the letters down off the building. And I remembered the bags of food with the American flags on them that said people from the people of the USA that were flown down to the Caribbean island that I was a Peace Corps volunteer on after a hurricane. I was thinking about that, and then I talked to our son Emerson, who lives in DC, and asking him like, "What are the vibes like in DC right now?" And he's like, "Not good, Dad. They're not good." And he told us who is and isn't among his coworkers accepting the fork in the road email to accept an uncertain severance. All of that stuff, and all the people who are anxious, whether you feel, however you feel about should the government reduce its workforce, however you feel about any of that, just like as Brian said during your testimonial, every person has dignity. You are dignity. You are. And each of those people has that. And what it feels like to be treated the way that they're treated. And all of that felt terrible. But then, yesterday morning, Saturday, holding anxiety, but not letting it hold me. Do you get the difference? Holding anxiety, but not letting anxiety hold me. It was a bright blue morning. Again, we've had so many of them this winter. And I went down to the frozen lake at the end of our street, Lake Winthrop, that I talk a lot about in my sermons because it's one of my rituals, Joe. And I coaxed our uncertain dog and my uncertain spouse out onto the ice, who asked, "Is it thick enough? Is it safe?" And we walked out onto the water, just like the Bible said was possible. And out there in the center, there were ice huts and there were kids running full sprint and sliding on their stomachs on the ice. And I looked at the shoreline like I'd never seen it before out there in the center. Seeing the shoreline from that perspective gave me a whole new way to see my home. It is so good to get a perspective shift. It was beautiful. We're on the center of the lake, walking on water, and there on the shore was the anxiety. Terrible things on the shore, but out here on the ice, vitamin D, playfulness, joy, relief, release. Harken back to that 3-hour sermon about top 10 lists. Joy is resistance too, is it not? Joy is resistance. Thumbs up to your screens if joy is resistance for you. Because this is the world, everybody, that we're living in. All of it. The terrible, the cause with the worker center, people freaking out, tears, all of our families today who have trans kids worried about what is going to happen. Like it's just terrible. And then there's like these beautiful things because that same kid in your life that may be worried about does the government think they have dignity, shows up and just offers a glimpse into love and playfulness that you need. It's beautiful. It's messy and it's complicated, the world that we live in. It's like when the snow turns to sleet and then rain and then freezes all over again at night and we can't get a firm footing. That's what this moment feels like to me. Maybe it does to you too. But I'm thinking here in these winter months, how like any times of instability, this is why and when we seek out spaces and places and people for support, as Brian talked about. It just bears repeating, I think, every single week and every single opportunity that I want you to know and us to know that all the 81 little boxes today on Zoom and many others, this is one of the places and spaces where that support is offered and received. That stability is offered and received. We are those people. And the good news is that we don't have to hold all the terrible news. We don't have to hold it all because in community, we get to hold it together. Sending so much love to all of us and grateful for technology that it can allow us to not miss a Sunday. Even though snow days were nice back in the day too, I'm not gonna lie. But grateful we can be together because it's so important to be together in these times, in these moments. We have one more hymn, a deep cut from the old COVID days, Wake Now My Senses. You'll see Sarah and Joe will share the screen.
Wake now my senses and hear the earth call. Feel the deep power of being in awe. Keep with the web of creation your vow, giving, receiving as love shows us how. Wake now my reason, reach out to the new. Join with each pilgrim who quests for the true. Honor the beauty and wisdom of time. Suffer thy limit and praise the sublime. Wake now compassion, give heed to the cry. Voices of suffering fill the white sky. Take as your neighbor, both stranger and friend, praying and striving their hardship to end. Wake now my vision of ministry clear. Brighten my pathway with radiance here. Mingle my calling with all those who share. Work toward a planet transformed by our care.
Thank you, Sarah, for all of your work on the slides and having to go through that. It's not a small endeavor at all. Just a couple of reminders about things this week. One is that one way that we are having joy in our community is the Creativity is Spiritual Practice class that I am privileged to help offer. And last week we did drawing with Betty Glick, which was amazing. And this Tuesday, anyone who'd like to come, either on Zoom or in person, just email me. It's poetry being led by our own Molly House. And we have two more down the road, sculpture and then music with Sarah and Tim. It's going to be awesome. So email me about that. And if you'd like to be and learn more about opportunities for accompaniment training to walk with and sort of tarry with, as you heard me talk about last week, immigrant folks to medical appointments and court appointments, things like that, there's going to be a training for that on Wednesday evening from 5:30 to 7. If you are not on my list and you'd like to be, just email me and I'll put you on and you can join up to that Zoom meeting on Wednesday. So friends, as Hank said earlier in the chat, snow day equals snow play, whatever means play for you, go do it, my friends. And Andrew says, send me along those brownies, and anyone else, give out your love, share your love with each other, and enjoy the sports ball tonight. We love you. Let's say together our call to ministry. We go forth into the world in peace to act with works of love, to affirm each person's dignity, and to cherish the living earth. Thanks, everybody. We'll be back in person when the snow stops flying. Bye-bye.